When you first start playing Satisfactory, the game can be really hard to understand and there's a lot of information the game doesn't tell you. Today, I've got 15 different tips to help you get started. Even if you aren't a beginner, there are lots of tips to learn from. I saved the best tip until last, so make sure to stick around to the end to see it. Number 15. Use conveyor belts to get around. Conveyor belts are a great method of transport. They speed up moving between lots of different ore deposits and can save you lots of time that you spend on factory building instead. You can use conveyor belts for transport even if they have items on them, so they can be used for items and players. Number 14. Set up at least one constructor or assembler for every part. Doing this is useful before you set up big factory lines and will help you get a small amount of every resource. This is important before diving into making a massive factory, because if you don't do this, it will mean lots of backwards and forwards between resources and a crafting table, and more waiting around for resources in general. Number 13. Give yourself space to expand your factories. If you cram everything together, you'll soon find that as you add more components and conveyor belts, things will start to get cramped very quickly. Before long, you'll end up dismantling entire sections of your factory because there isn't enough space. To avoid this, leave plenty of empty space around your factories to grow. It might seem like wasted space, but it will save you a big headache when you need to expand in the future. Number 12. Hold control to snap your foundations to the world grid. When placing foundations, they won't always be aligned to the buildings around them. If you hold control, foundations and buildings will snap to the world border. This allows for two factories to be hooked up very easily and neatly. For example, if you need a part from two different factories, rather than having to make your conveyor belts twist all the way around, you could have them neatly snapped together. This allows for quick and easy connections between close or far factories. Number 11. Get coal power quickly. Biomass is really annoying to gather, and beyond the early game, it's not really worth wasting your time on. On the other hand, coal is automatable, relatively easy to get hold of, and is a reliable energy source for your factories. By prioritizing coal power, you can focus more on making good factories rather than wasting time gathering leaves and wood. Number 10. Don't worry about being messy early on. In the early game, it's easy to want to get your factory perfectly optimized and laid out. However, it's more important to get your factory working in the first place than totally optimized and laid out. What is it they say? Don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Once you progress through the game, there's plenty of time to expand and optimize your factory's design and make it more efficient. Number 9. Don't be afraid to expand outwards. Satisfactory is a game about factory building, not base building, so make sure to move to different locations. Lots of locations have many different useful characteristics and resources, so try to spread out, especially once you have unlocked faster transport methods, which follows on nicely to our next point on how to travel faster. Number 8. When sprinting, press crouch and then jump to bunny hop and go faster. Sprinting is essential in Satisfactory, especially when you're exploring new areas or fixing issues with your factory. However, if you need a little bit more speed, you can press space and then C to gain a boost. This will let you explore new places faster. Number 7. The N key brings up a quick search bar, where you can search for recipes, buildings, and even use it as a calculator. This can be useful if you want to calculate how much of each material you need per minute from a factory, or just for bulk crafting in general. Number 6. Don't skip the tutorial. This one applies whether you're new or returning to the game after a break. I know it's tempting to rush straight into the game, but it's just more effort than it's worth. Trying to make efficient factories while also trying to remember what each key and building does is a massive headache, and just not worth it. Number 5. Design your factories up front. Designing your factories is a key part of the game, and can be really fun if you enjoy it. That one's a big if. I'm guilty of not really doing this one, but designing your factories in a spreadsheet or flowchart can really make the logistics easier than calculating on the fly. If you're serious about making the most efficient factories, you'll have to spend some time planning them in order to make them actually good. Number 4. Try and make your own solutions. Many new Satisfactory players fall into the pit hole of doing what everyone else is doing. But it just takes away the most fun part of the game, coming up with your own factories and solutions, rather than just stealing someone else's. As a bonus, it's a lot of fun to experiment with different things, rather than just following someone else. Hey, if you got this far into the video, consider subscribing to help out the channel. Thanks. Number 3. Press space to continually craft. This one's the biggest time saver on the list so far. If you tap space once while in the crafting bench, it will keep crafting as if you're holding the mouse button down. This is especially useful in the early game, where you need to craft a lot in bulk early on. You can just select the recipe, hold the spacebar, and Bob's your uncle. You can go off and do productive things while you're waiting, like making YouTube videos that no one will ever watch. Number 2. Don't be afraid to experiment. Never be afraid to try new things in Satisfactory. This is a game all about making things, so taking things down and rebuilding them costs you nothing. The F key is always your best friend, use it. Destroying something that you built isn't wasted time if you had fun building it. And that leads us on to number 1, have fun. If you aren't enjoying the game, take a step back. If you force yourself to play, you won't put much effort into actually making anything in Satisfactory. The more you enjoy the game, the more rewarding and fun it will feel. As long as you're having fun, you're winning the game. And with that, I will wrap up this video. But wait, if you like this video and want to watch more of my videos, click here for another one. Go on, what are you waiting for?